Hey, you want to make a podcast?
Sure. What should it be on?
I was thinking about a Codpast on.
Uh?
What?
Hey!
Hey! Codpast, a podcast about Cod.
Written by Europa and Laika.
Voiced by Nova, Cosmos, and Comet.
Alright, so what is cod? Cod is ugly. Personal opinion of Laika. Cod is a flaky white fish. It normally weighs 5 to 12 kilograms, but can weigh up to 100 kilograms. For comparison, 100 kilograms is about the weight of an average giant panda. There are two main places where cod live, the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean. Most of the Atlantic cod live in the cold, deep sea regions of the Atlantic Ocean. The Pacific cod is found in both the eastern and western Pacific.
So, what is cod's role in human history? Cod was a staple fish in history, being described as incredibly important, with no other fish quite as influential. In international markets, it has remained an important economic commodity ever since around 800 CE in the Viking period. Vikings were in fact the first Europeans to travel to North America with the goal of harvesting and curing cod. This was because cured cod was tasty and long-lasting, and rehydrated well. In the 15th century, the Portuguese started fishing cod. Norwegians often traveled with dried cod, as it is and was important in their fish trade, which led to the birth of a dried cod market in Northern Europe. It has lasted over 1,000 years and has undergone countless wars, famines, and tragedies, including the Black Death. Okay, let's talk America! In America, cod played a pivotal role in the development of the East Cod, especially in Newfoundland and Massachusetts. The vast amount of cod created trade networks and participated in cross-cultural food exchanges. In 1733, Britain attempted to gain control over this trade by imposing the Molasses Act, which inflicted 6 pence per gallon on imports of molasses, by making cod an unprofitable commodity. But this actually caused the cod exchange to grow because the French wanted to work with New England in a, quote, lucrative contraband arrangement, end quote. We owe the French something, man. The reason cod was more profitable in America rather than Europe was because in America, fishing was possible year-round. In Europe, they only fished in the summer months. English, Spanish, and Portuguese also fished in the cod in the years leading up to the colonization of the East Coast. But, like anything else, Native Americans have been fishing along the shores of America long before the Europeans discovered America. Native Americans had many interesting tactics for fishing. They made nets, hooks, and spears from natural fibers. Cod was important to their diet, and that was confirmed by the presence of cod bones in Native American middens, or their garbage piles.
But we can't forget about the Cod Wars. Starting in the 15th century, the English began to fish near Iceland, establishing a major presence in the area. In 1899, the steam trawler Caspian was fishing off the Faroe Islands when the Danish gunboat tried to arrest her for illegally fishing. The Caspian did not stop and she was fired upon by the Danish. Eventually, the Caspian stopped, but the skipper, who was the person responsible for the safety and welfare of the boat and crew, Charles Henry Johnson, told the mate to sail away before Johnson went on the Danish ship. The Caspian promptly sped off. Though the Danish ship fired shots, the Caspian still managed to return, very damaged to England. Charles Henry Johnson was tied to the mast of the Danish boat and convicted of illegal fishing and attempted assault, then jailed for 30 days. In 1901, Iceland set 3 nautical miles as their territorial waters, which continued for 50 years. However, the presence of the British trawlers grew increasingly irritating to Iceland throughout the years. The Icelandic fishing grounds are thought to have been very important to the British cod industry. In 1949, Iceland extended the territorial waters north of Iceland 4 nautical miles, which didn't really affect Britain. But when Iceland extended the limit to waters all around Iceland, Britain was affected. In retaliation, Britain posed a landing ban on Icelandic fish in British ports. During the Cold War, however, the Soviet Union began to purchase fish from Iceland, wanting influence, and so did Spain and Italy, under the encouragement of the US. And this leads us to the First Cod War. It lasted from 1958 to 1961 when Iceland extended the fishery limits from 4 nautical miles to 12 nautical miles. When all members of NATO opposed this decision, Britain still sent trawlers inside the limits, except this time under protection of the Royal Navy. This new presence led to protests and tension in Iceland. Finally, in the winter of 1960, 3 clashes between Icelandic and British boats led to Iceland threatening withdrawal of NATO and removal of the US forces. It was decided by the UN that Iceland could impose the 12 nautical mile limit, but British boats could fish on the 6 nautical miles limit in certain places and times. The Second Cod War occurred when Iceland increased the limit to 50 nautical miles. British trawlers continued to enter the zone and were repeatedly chased away by the Icelandic Coast Guard or had their nets cut. Finally, after some negotiation, a new agreement was that Britain could fish in certain areas of the 50 nautical miles at certain times. During the UN Law of the Sea Conference, many countries supported a 100 nautical mile territorial water limit. In 1975, the Icelandic government extended the fishing limit to 200 nautical miles. Maybe you can guess how this ends up. Well, after some clashes between Britain and Iceland, it was agreed that Britain would be allowed 24 trawlers in the zone and a limit of 30,000 tons of fish per year. In the end, Iceland got mostly what it wanted: fishing limits on the British, conserving the fish stock, and fishing a larger portion of the catch. Yep, so those are the Cod Wars. Kind of crazy, huh?
So, why do we need to worry about cod? In 1992, northern cod biomass fell to 1% of earlier levels. This was the result of 50 years of technology development and refinement, all to catch more cod. In the 50s and 60s, radar, sonar, and electronic navigation systems developed for World War II allowed cod stocks to be caught much faster than they were being replenished. This also meant more bycatch, or fish and aquatic organisms not meant to be caught, which included capelin, an important food species for cod. The Canadian government is one example of a government which highly mismanaged the cod population and industry. After declaring their exclusive economic zone of 200 nautical miles, in which only Canadian boats were permitted to catch fish, fish catches declined due to the absence of foreign boats. This led the government to believe that cod population was all fine and dandy. Thus, the quotas that were set overestimated the stock and exacerbated the problem. In 1986, scientists noticed the decline in cod and proposed that the catch limit be halved. The government refused this proposal. In 1993, the cod problem was so bad that the government had to prohibit all cod fishing. Though this was only supposed to last for 2 years, there was so much damage due to the loss of cod that it has never been overturned.
The story and history of cod is a long and messy one, full of humans overusing everything that we need. People are greedy, and when there is money to be made, saving for the future is ignored. We got used to having more fish than we ever could catch, so when we are able to catch all that fish, we did. Governments that don't know what the problems are can ignore the issue and just make the resource overuse worse. I see many parallels from this story to our current crisis. The climate is changing so bad that even if all the human stuff stopped right now, such as electricity generation, cows, internal combustion engines, and cows, there would still be a meter of sea level rise. There will be a catastrophic fall of the human world from the comfort level and waste that we are used to if we don't start making changes right now. What are some little things that you can do? Change your eating habits, maybe just a little bit. Eating less meat is a big one for starters. Maybe not stop altogether. I personally, not the writer of this, but me, Cosmos, not Europa. I love meat. But if I just eat a little bit less, that could help. You can also buy and eat local and organic food and buy only what you need. 133 billion pounds of food was wasted in 2010. Most food waste comes from people buying more food than they need and then it's spoiling before they can eat it. Planning the meals you will eat before buying the food can reduce this. You can also drive less, plant a garden, recycle, and stop buying fast fashion. Donating or selling your used clothes can help others while reducing the sizable carbon footprint of clothing. We can make simple lifestyle changes, saving more energy. We can make simple lifestyle changes, like saving more energy. Simple as turning off your lights during the day or taking a shorter shower. Make it a challenge. Can you shower in under 5 minutes? Try switching to low carbon fuels for your automobile, such as electricity or natural gas. More importantly, we can call on our government officials for change and vote for people who will act to save our climate. Well, thank you, listeners. And yeah. Save our environment, please. I do not want to die. Anything else to add?
No.
Human society is a parasite.
Okay. This is On the Ear, where we podcast with personality. And we are now
Off the
the
ear. Pew, pew, pew.